Hello and welcome to Buckman's Model Mania. Today we're going to be working on the Batmobile from D'Agostini Fanhome, Stage 12. Let me go ahead and get the book open, I'll get the parts open, and we will get building. It looks like from the parts and from the book, what we are doing is the other half of the engine, is it the right hand or left cylinder head? Okay, we're doing the left cylinder head, the cylinder cover. We have another wire to cut spark plugs wires from. The whole deal. Basically, we're starting to finish the other half of the engine. We have some AM screws, some CM screws, and then quite a few little parts in here. This time I know which way the exhaust manifold goes on. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch when I did the first video on the engine. So we've got the valve cover, which they call it the left cylinder head cover. It's the valve cover. We've got the left cylinder head. We have some spark plugs. We have the spark plug wire, which I'm going to go ahead and uncoil now, simply so that it can straighten out a little bit. It's interesting the way they coil these up sometimes. Matter of fact, I am not seeing how I'm supposed to uncoil this. But there we go. Pull it out through there and straighten it out. I'm stretching it, straightening it a little bit, just so that it will get a little bit better natural curve to it. I think this is actually longer than the other one. And I still have the leftover piece right here. Exhaust manifold, and I believe this was the radiator feed pipe. That's all the parts. Go ahead and get that out of the way. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start assembling the cylinder head to the valve cover. Goes on here just like this. There are two posts inside here. They're going to line up with these holes here, and we're going to put screws in there. These are plastic, I believe. You know, I'm looking, and I do not see any AP parts. Give me just a second or AP screws. Give me just a second because I'm not sure I got them. Okay. They were still in the bag. So there's the AP screws. Should be the right screwdriver. And I apologize if you can hear the neighbors having their lawn done. They have a service that does their lawn for them at odd hours. And I knew, find my tweezers. If you watched the Disney dollhouse build, I dropped that pin, and I knew I was going to find it sometime. So let me find something to put it into so I don't lose it. Because something like that, while there was a spare, you might want it later on down the road, so you make sure you keep those things. So the first screw goes in. Second screw is going to go in as well. We just do a little bit on the first one. We do the rest, tighten all the way down on the second one. And the reason I do that is so that I can make sure that the screws will both go in. And based on the right cylinder head cover, or the valve cover gasket, there is no gasket, felt a little bit loose, so I just tightened that up a little bit more. We just double check it. Okay, that's good and tight. And this time we're going to put the exhaust manifold on correctly. Just looking, yeah, it's got to go this way. Way you know which way it goes, those holes need to be open. And that's going to be the two AM screws. Get the oil out. This is actually Monday. It's Memorial Day. Yesterday we had the live stream. Ew, icky. Oil just spurted everywhere. We had the live stream yesterday, so I had to put everything away. Let's try this again. There we go. Paper towel out of the way. Had to put everything away because this is my main bench. Eventually, I plan on setting up a second bench. I'll have to get a second good camera for that. And then I will leave both benches up all the time. I will leave the part works on the part work bench, and this will be the regular modeling bench. Because part works get huge sometimes. Case in point, the Ecto 1, which I just finished, couldn't even get it in this shot when it was on this bench. Probably will use the bench to my right for part works. Tighten this down. Get the bigger screwdriver. I'm tightening everything down good and proper because yesterday when I was working on the engine, parts were a little bit loose. So that is the exhaust manifold. I actually skipped over the step where we put the put this, what did they call it, radiator feed pipe on. I'm just looking. It's supposed to go on here. That's why they had you put it on first, because this one, unlike the other one, actually does that one. No, that one goes over top of the exhaust manifold. This one is supposed to be up underneath the exhaust manifold, which I looked at that and I was like, yeah, I can do that afterwards. We'll find out if I can. If not, I may have to loosen one side. Yeah, I'm going to have to loosen the exhaust manifold. And the reason I went ahead with the exhaust manifold is when I did the other one, it just kept falling off. But with it being covered by the exhaust manifold, this one should stay in place. See if I can pull that out far enough. Yeah, that should be good enough. Pull it out. It's going to go into this hole up here. Come on. Might need to get the tweezers on it. It's hitting the hole. It's just not going in. Don't want to, but I may have to take the other side of the exhaust manifold loose. It just almost, there we go. It almost was going in. It was just barely not making it in. Come on, get in there. Yeah, that's not going to work. Okay, I'm going to have to take the exhaust manifold all the way off because it's in there. It's just not seating. So there you can see that little flange still isn't all the way down, but it's close. Let's see. Not the big working ones. We're going to take these pair of needle nose pliers and apply just some very gentle pressure. That's as far as she's going to go. We can now put the exhaust manifold back in place. And this time, like I said, it's over top of that pipe. It's going to hold that pipe in place, where the other one I can still pull off with at will whenever I feel like it. And that would be how this half of the cylinder head, or this cylinder head, will get cooled. Okay, so now that's back in place. We take the two, similar to last time, they said to take the two CM screws, put them in, and then take them back out. And what you're doing there is you're cutting threads into the die cast with them. So put a little bit of oil on here. Create the threads in there. Do the same thing with the second one. The oil helps to cut the thread. Ow! Mother! I think. Oh, there it is. That hurt. No blood, but that hurt. I just stabbed myself in the hand. And that is why sometimes I will go off camera. Supposed to be blood when you're modeling, but, you know, didn't happen. Okay, so we'll take that one out. Take this one back out. And we'll turn the page. And it has you take the spark plugs. Similar to last time, we're going to take the spark plugs, we're going to cut them off the sprue. But I tend to hold on to the old parts that you don't use. So I have, without using all of them on here, I have 4 spark plugs, which gives me 2 spares. Let's go from the other side here. Which means I will have these parts and throw them away at the end because I'll have no use for them. So as you put the spark plugs down here into the cylinder head in these 4 spots here, one here, 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 and here, just to make sure which way are they facing. Solid. Oh, right here. Looking at all over going, where are those instructions? So they're facing towards the radiator. Push these in all the way down, get them all the way seated so that they will not have the tendency to fall out. They might anyway, but once the wires are on them, they should be good. And they're canted down slightly. You can rotate them once they're in place. Ow. My thumbnail slipped off of it, and today's the day I'm going to hurt myself, apparently. So, not quite all the way in. That one is not wanting to go all the way in. It's not cooperating right now. Let's see if maybe this one will fit in the next hole up. And if not, I'll throw this one away and I'll get a different one off. There we go. That's better. Wonder if it's this hole. That would be bad. No, that one just didn't like that hole. So they're the spark plugs. Actually, that's not even the spark plugs. That's the spark plug wires. The spark plugs would be underneath these boots for the spark plugs. So now we take the 2 halves of the engine back apart. I just sat it together like that last night. And we're going to slide this part on here. Those two plugs that we cut the holes in, or put the screws into, are going to slide onto these posts here, like that. And then you got the cutout here for the screwdriver. Put the screws in right there. Not going to oil them up because I did that already. There should be plenty of oil still in the holes. Get this one started. Do the same thing with the second one. That one actually pushed away a little bit. Now grab a hold of this like this and tighten these puppies down. We're going to get them good and tight because it's been shifting on the other side. Hang on. There we go. It was not wanting to turn. And I see what's happening is I'm going up too high with the screwdriver and it's catching on the cutout. But I want this as tight as possible so that my cylinder head is not rattling all over the place. Okay. And that, my friends, is in place and not going to go anywhere. So now we're going to set this off to the side. We're going to grab the other half of the engine. And I was incorrect when I said this. I think this is where the transmission is going to mount. The transmission mounts back here. Just looking, I think that is actually going the wrong way. That pipe was going back towards the transmission instead of forward towards the radiator. Let's see if I can get that in there. It's kind of just hanging out and popping loose. We'll get it back in there in place after we get the engine together. So the transmission is going to mount this on this post here with this lug there. That lug fits over top like that. And then we take the other half of the engine and we have this post and this post that are going to line up with these two posts with holes. And I'm going to see if I can get this all done on camera. It was a little bit tricky to get it together yesterday off camera because it did not want to line up. And it's trying to do the same thing today. Yesterday, it did not have the transmission in the way. And so this is being a little bit fiddly. I'm going to pause the camera and I'll be back once it's in place. Okay, had to jockey with it a little bit, but it popped in, it's closed, and now somehow I have to get out the 2 cm screws, dip them in oil, while not letting go of the engine. Got the first one, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this one in. I'm going to put it in by the transmission in the back because that was the spot that was not wanting to go together. And we are going to tighten this thing all the way down. Now I can set the engine down. You can see the other pipe, the radiator hose pipe actually did come loose again. And I have one of my spark plugs pointing the wrong way. That is a smaller hole. So we need this smaller screwdriver. Got the oil on my finger instead of the screw now. Let's re-dip this, slide it in there, tighten it down all the way. Let me twist. Let me see. Yeah. Let me twist this spark plug back where it's supposed to be. Like that. And there is the engine put together. But not quite done yet. I'm just looking. So we got the CM screws going in. Push this pin from the starter corresponding pinhole to fix it in place. Okay. So the starter on this side of the engine is going to go on that plate right there. I think it was pushed on there at one point. It just keeps falling off. You got to push it past the engine mount here. Could be a little bit tricky. One of them things that maybe they should have had you do first. Because the only way to get this in here, if it will not play nice and go, is going to be to take the engine back apart. Okay. Why does that not look right? Ah, okay. There is a second hole right there for a second pin on here. So once you get it lined up, you have to twist it to make sure it's in the right spot. Because I had it in there, it just wasn't pushing all the way down. And now it's flush. My engine mount was twisted a little bit there. Don't need that. That's the spark plug wire or spark plugs that I'm not, or that I've already got in place. This one here came loose. This one should be again black on black. Should be this point right here. If they keep coming off, I may put a little drop of glue on them. This one came loose as well. Crap. This one, I believe, went to here. Oh, come on. Go home. Go to your home. That's your home. And I just knocked the other one back loose again. No, that was not the other one. Okay. First things first, I'm gonna, yeah, it's not showing where they all went. Let me pause. I'm gonna actually put a drop of glue on each one as I put it in place. And I'll come back once I have the first four back where they're supposed to be. Okay, so I got those four glued on. They're not gonna come off again. Get this pipe out of the way, grab the cable here, move the glue, and we need 100 millimeters, 110 millimeters, 120, and 140 millimeter piece. There we go. So we're going to start with the 100 millimeter piece. this out here. And it doesn't have to be exact, it just has to be pretty close. There's the 100mm. There's 110. That seems so much different right there. Let's take a look. Okay, no, it just looks different because of the way they're laying there. 120. And the last one is 140. There. So that's the spare piece. That's 140, 120, 110, and 100. The first one is going to come up looking on here. It's going to come up into I'm looking at it from the wrong direction. Okay, that will make a little bit better sense. So I'm going to put it on first up here, and it's going to go on this one right here. Drop a glue on there. Snake this underneath, between a couple of them. See if I can get it to go on that post. And pull it down underneath those wires, wrap it around. Over to this spark plug. I will tell you this is a little bit trying to get in place. Grab the I don't like to use the tweezers because it tends to crush the wire a little bit. Why do I have a feeling that's the wrong one? Why do I have a feeling I grabbed the 110 instead of the 100? No, that should be right. It just seems like this wire is a little bit longer than it needs to be, so I'm going to push it over here a little bit further, get it up onto the engine a little bit better. And then, similar to the last one, it shows the other three. I'm going to pause here and come back once I have all the spark plug wires in place. Okay, that is the spark plug wires all done. You see they all run to the plugs here, all run to the plugs here. Got a couple of wires that are hanging out still. This one still has a wire inside it. I'm not going to mess with it unless it doesn't work. Most of these wires are laying down pretty much where I need them. This one has come off. Might have to put a drop of glue on one end of this. But it's a neat idea. It's a good idea if you can make it work to do the wire inside of it. I can't get it to work. They pop off on me, or they can't. I can't get them to twist in the right spot, and so you end up with a kink that shouldn't be there. So I'm not going to do it. But the engine is looking pretty cool at this point. Let's see, that one goes. Very interesting that these things go to the back of the engine, not to the front. Unless I have that one on backwards. Because this is going to the back of the engine. This other one goes towards the front. I just noticed that, and I see if I can get that. Yeah, it's not going to play nice. Try this one more time. It is buried up underneath stuff now. What I will probably end up having to do is gluing it in to where it'll stay in place. Because it keeps getting bumped. But I think it's interesting that this one goes forward and this one goes backwards. And it does show this one going backward. Does it show on the others? Does it show anything on the other side of the engine? Excuse me. Interesting. It actually does show that I've got it going the opposite direction of what it's supposed to. It looks like it is supposed to go to the back of the engine. Let me see. Indeed it is. Maybe that's why it keeps popping loose. I've got it on there backwards. So we're going to put this back in here in the right direction. But then it begs the question of if this is supposed to be a type, some sort of a radiator pipe, water pipe, why is it going backwards and not forwards towards the front of the engine? So now they're both coming out the back. But that is all there is to do in this current stage. I happen to have the book for stage 9 out and open for when I redid the spark plug wires. This was stage 12. Really kind of cool. I've got 2 stages left for this month, and then the engine should be. I'm not sure what else goes on the engine, but because it looks pretty complete. But hope you're enjoying this build. I looked forward to this build. I'm loving it so far. Hopefully there's not going to be any real snags. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified of any time I post new content. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Have a great day. Have a great day tomorrow. And I will see you on the next video.